Welcome everyone back to a new video. Today, we will be decoding the true meaning behind the Matrix and how it relates to both human consciousness and reality itself. We will be breaking down the system which the majority of us are in and how it is trapping us in low states of consciousness, and of course why they're doing it. How the film The Matrix warned us of how this reality is controlled and the symbolism within it. I will also be relating it to the Bible, sorry. I will also be covering the lies we have been told throughout our lives to trap us within this system, and also advice I want to provide you to ensure you do not stay trapped in this system your entire life, okay? Now, what actually is the Matrix? This is something which many do not really understand the true meaning of. However, I will break it down for you. Now, the Matrix is a system manifested by the collective consciousness, which is essentially driven by the government to keep us stuck in physicality and using the lower carnal mind. I will get into what the lower carnal mind is a little bit later in this video. The Matrix exists because we as a collective have a belief that it not only exists but matters. This creates it to become the norm and followed by most people in modern day, as we are never taught an alternative to the system. Now, in school, for example, we are programmed to get a job, engage with the media products they give us, consume junk food, and altogether vibrate on a low frequency. This programming is prevalent everywhere and targets our subconscious mind, making us desire the things which are advertised. You cannot go a day You cannot enjoy your day within a capitalist society without seeing advertisements which are essentially there to tell you what you want and from where you want it. Now, what you need to understand is this whole system is put in place for a reason, and if you do not pay enough attention and you don't live in this present moment, then you will be consumed by all of these essentially little methods they have to target our minds. This is all a massive mind control experiment, if you think about it. Now, as humans, we subconsciously are always attempting to adapt to the environment around us. This has been since the beginning of time. Within this modern world, which has been expanding way too fast, mostly through technology, this has created a change in the collective consciousness's desires. It has led us to becoming disconnected to not only the world, but also ourselves. We just distract ourselves at every given moment rather than looking within ourselves to grow spiritually and mentally. Many of us work all day to come home to stare at a television screen, to eat junk food, to just distract ourselves from really kind of looking over our day, looking over how we reacted to things, which it stops our personal growth. We are so distracted from social media, the news, and the busy and chaotic essence of our own lives. We fail to look within ourselves to grasp the truth of what reality holds. You need to understand that there is more than just a physical world. This is the inertia, this is the plane of both good and evil. And your soul must the whole point of this world is for your soul to understand the lessons of both good and evil and use them to drive your soul towards the source. And the source is essentially what has created this whole construct, and of course yourself. The habitus of society is pushing out that your life is fulfilled if you have money, fame, and happiness. However, you must understand that happiness of the ego self is most likely from consuming things for the body and rather the mind. Many of us hold this fake concept of ourselves, and this is called the ego. The ego is, which I will get into later, is essentially a version of something that your mind has latched on of you being incarnated into physical reality. So it's essentially your perspective of life, but in the perspective that you have never realized the truth because we have been misled. Now, the education system. This is immensely important to understand what they're doing and how they're doing it. Now, in school, for example, we are conditioned to not question the system, even though what they tell us is lies to conform to the habitus of society. School teaches you to be a worker rather than a thinker, ultimately creating you to be a product of the system. And this is all so you are far easier to control in the future, of course. Now, they create us to be products of the system. They create us chasing money. They create us chasing these external pleasures rather than nourishment of the soul begins when you look within yourself, when you discover how divine we as a being truly are. This is a little picture which I believe shows what the education system does. Have you heard the term think outside of the box? I believe this is literal. At the beginning of school, your mind is infinite. Of course, the mind is always infinite. However, the possibilities within your mind are infinite. Anything's possible. However, the difference between this circle and the square is the square's limitations. It has a start, beginning, and an end, of course. So this teacher, what they are literally educated to do is shape your mind from this to square, from happy to not not necessarily sad, but like a robot in a way. Rather than us trusting our five senses and making our own judgments and observations about physical existence, we trust authority over them. Think about it. When you're a child, all you want to do is be liked by people. All you want to, this is what I get into the point of, we adapt ourselves to everything. In school, you create this persona of yourself so you get liked by more people, so you have more friends. And it's all an external thing. You just care about what people think about yourself rather than your own perception of yourself. This is how we're educated to be. The authority, such as teachers, will provide you with work where there is just one answer, and your perspective isn't valid. So you must change the way in which you think to correspond to the system and authority. This whole societal construct is built off authority and the idea that we grow in authority over time to eventually die. That's all it's about, okay? And these people at the top, okay, the elites you can call them, they understand that if this whole population from like when they're a child, they're educated on things which have no meaning, they will become a product of the system. They understand this, okay? Teachers who are educating you on topics are essentially reading off a script given by the government, which is of course more authority, to shape the way in which you perceive and experience life. The government know the true power of the mind. Think about government. This is the illusion of freedom. They govern your mind. If they governed your physical body, then you could break from the limitations. However, they understand that everything exists within your mind, so they govern your mind. They put everything that they want you to think and see about the world, they put it in your mind. Okay? John D. Rockefeller. I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. He understands this. You know? Also, another quote: we are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the New World Order. I believe that the major crisis was COVID-19. You know, I think COVID-19 was created to get people so addicted to their phones and so disconnected with the world to the point where, you know, it worked. In the future, it's all short-term things for long-term effects. Okay. Now, the film, it is an incredible film, but what is the true meaning behind it? Now, you need to understand that there are three aspects to the brain. You have the reptilian brain, you have the limbic system, sorry, and the neocortex, okay? You see, Neo, he is plugged in to this the reptilian complex. He is plugged into this lower aspect of the brain, okay? And I believe this is highly symbolic of the collective consciousness essentially living in this world using this part of the brain. And of course, this part of the brain is directly connected to the central nervous system, which means we live based upon our instincts. Like an animal, that's why it's a reptilian. Reptilians are animals. They act on instinct. All animals act on instinct because they have a one-way consciousness. They do not even have the ability to know that they are alive. However, we have a two-way consciousness. We know that we're living. We communicate with one another through a universal language, and essentially giving us the ability to live through our wisdom and, of course, intuition. Now, when using the reptilian brain, we just react to the circumstances of life and essentially letting it interrupt our internal state and vibration. You need to understand that we are meant to live our lives controlling our minds, not our minds controlling our life. And I'll get into this a little bit later. The blue and the red pill. Well, I think this is highly symbolic for the decision an individual makes in their life to either accept the truth or live in their own lies. Now, the truth is more accessible than ever in this modern day due to the technological advancements. However, I truly believe that everyone in this world deserves at least one opportunity to grasp the concept of reality. And it all relies on their perspective. Perspective is everything. Say a terrible thing happens in your life. You lose a friend, you lose family, and you let that influence and disrupt your internal state. You will live essentially in your past life if you in the past if you never learn that every moment is a lesson. Everything is a lesson for your own growth. Now, I think a very important question from this is, why do governments actually want us using the reptilian brain? So you need to understand that the main agenda for governments is to keep control over the collective consciousness, essentially to manipulate us using our money for useless things for our bodies rather than our minds and souls. Now, I will get into a little bit later how everything in this societal construct is here for our bodies. And of course, this is because they want us identifying with our bodies. This is important. We do not question the system in which we are currently in, so we act upon every thought that comes across our mind. We must understand that every thought is begging for attention, yet it just passes and is ultimately insignificant in the long term. This reflects your internal state. I'll give you an example. So, you must first know that all your external environment is a reflection of your internal environment. Say I walk into your room and there are clothes everywhere. Your room is a mess. I understand that. Your mind is a mess. Think about that. Now, you must understand that we as a collective consciousness are manifesting their desires through believing all of the lies they tell us, rather than making our own judgments. So we are manifesting this new world order if we are engaging in all the media products they are essentially relying on us using. This is all one big game for them, of course. Now, how does the Matrix relate to the Bible? Now, Jesus was referred to as the fisher of men, which is far deeper than the literal connotation. However, of course, religion itself, it teaches this externalization of God, which means they interpret the Bible as this historical text rather than it being allegorical. The whole Bible is purely allegorical and is all about the human consciousness, the anatomy, the mind. It is so deep, and if any of you are interested in me interpreting the Bible in a way that can help you, I can definitely make a video on it. Now, the water represents the etheric plane, separating this physical world from the invisible realms beyond the current comprehension of the uninitiated individual. You see the example of, I believe it's Peter attempting to walk on the water. As soon as he begins to fear, he begins to sink back into the water. And this is the exact same thing which happens when you feel fear in astral projection. You sink back into your body. And this is just one example of thousands that show that the Bible is purely just a story all about you. Okay? This means that Jesus was guiding souls towards their ascension out of this reality. This is the same as Buddha, Thoth, Hermes. There are a lot more examples. And this is all to obviously ascend them out of this physical reality, to explore the hidden realms all existing within the mind. Remember, everything exists within your mind. Everything. The world is mental. And this is of course accessible through astral projection or lucid dreaming. Now, this is similar to how Morpheus enters into the Matrix to guide Neo towards truth, enlightenment, and mastery of the mind. You know, his name is Neo because he awakens to the neocortex. He awakens to the higher mind from the lower. Okay? Within the film, Morpheus states, we have a rule. We never free a mind once it's reached a certain age. It's dangerous. The mind has trouble letting go. I've seen it before and I'm sorry. Now, this is why it's so important for this next generation of people to understand the truth of reality, because essentially we are the future of reality. We are the future of this world. We have the ability to decide the direction in which the world goes. Yet, if we just stay distracted and continue to be misled, our souls will forever be trapped in this system. This correlating to attempting to wake people up to the truth of reality is that all the belief systems within their subconscious mind creates them to be in denial and defend the system that has enslaved them. Whether you realize it or not, this system only matters because you believe it matters. You have a feeling within you that believes that you have to make money, that is essentially success. That is not me saying money is not important. However, if you let it rule your life, you will gain nothing for your soul. Now, what is physical existence? What is the truth about it? Now, a biblical verse, Luke 17:12, the kingdom of God is within you. You need to know that we are multi-dimensional beings. We came from the etheric plane. We came from the astral plane. And we are just a fraction of an infinite stream of God's consciousness incarnated into physical reality. All living things have this consciousness, but what differs us from, say, animals is, as I mentioned before, we know that we are living, we know that we are conscious, which allows our minds to create far beyond the limitations of this physical world. Our souls are here to learn and create, and you will do this for infinity. That's all you ever can do. You cannot not learn and create. You are learning in every single minute, every second of the day, and you create, of course, whenever you even move. You're just creating, okay? The mind transcends the limitations of time, space, and matter. Think about it. Your mind can experience the past, the present, or the future. It can experience anything, okay? And that is how powerful the mind truly is. When mastering the mind and exploring the depths of the mind, we move beyond the physical constraints and align ourselves with higher awareness. Awareness is key. You have to be aware of this present moment, as it is all that we will ever have. Okay? We are made to believe that this existence is about consuming and being happy, when rather, to grow and develop, you must face the darkness of your own mind. Now, this is deep, but what I mean by this is, for creation, there must be destruction. You must destruct the old way of thinking and perceiving the world. Now, the darkness of your own mind, in a way, I mean through meditation. If you begin meditation, you'll see, it doesn't feel comfortable to just sit with my own mind in the darkness. However, as I said, to grow, you must face the darkness. You must feel pain to understand the good. This is the system. It's good and bad. They're the same thing. Okay? It's just all about how you perceive it. Now, the two religions I'm focusing on is obviously Christianity, where we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Shiva represents the physical body. Vishnu represents the soul. See, the soul has all of these snakes. It's knowledge. Your soul has experienced everything, of course, from your mind. Your mind has allowed this to happen. And Brahma represents the mind as it lives in both the past, the present, and the future. These religions are all saying the same thing, okay? You must understand that God is within you. Everything is within you. And these religions teach this externalization of God. However, the true power lies in seeing that and understanding that not only is everything God, we are God. Okay? It's the highest version of us. The soul trap. This is important to understand. Now, what is the soul? The essence of the soul transcends the material realm and is the observer beyond the visible, tangible world. It functions to perceive the intricacies of the mind, sensory input from the central nervous system, and the emotional states we experience. The soul is essentially the controller of the four bodies of consciousness: the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. Now, what is the mind? It is the projection of the soul's experiences. So it is the projection of the soul. is the perception of the soul's experiences. The mind holds the ability for infinite possibilities to occur. When we interact with the infinite grid of consciousness always surrounding us, you must understand that anything can happen. Anything. And it all begins within the mind. You think before you kick a football, it begins as a thought within the mind. All physical things began as a thought within the mind before they were manifested. You must prepare the mind for death, as when we depart from the body, we are left with the true state of mind and emotional self, where you are unable to fill yourself with distractions like food and entertainment. Whatever is on your mind when you die, if you are stuck in physicality when you die, you will come straight back into this plane of existence. Believe it or not, this is the truth. And it's all because we have been misled to the true understanding of the soul. Take, for instance, astral projection, where the mind has the capacity to project the soul out of the physical body and material world. During this experience, we can take from it that the soul takes on the role of the observer. The mind projects the reality you experience, and the body serves as a vessel for the experience you perceive. These three are synonymous. They work together, and you cannot have one without the other. It's just how it works. The ego and the soul. You must live as the soul rather than the ego. The ego is the physical, and this is the metaphysical. This is the visible, this is the invisible. Everything visible came from the invisible. Now, the soul seeks to serve others, seeks inner authenticity. Soul sees life as a gift. Soul seeks to preserve others. The soul looks inward. Do you know what I mean? You need to think and act and feel the way in which the soul should. We have suppressed our soul because we have never had an understanding of the soul. So this ego is essentially what we are. We chase money. We serve ourselves. We look outward recognition. And this is what you have done your whole life. You may have not done something because you may have gone, oh, what if someone judges me for it? What if someone makes fun of me for it? You need to understand that all negativity comes from negativity of someone else's internal state. Remember, everything is mental. Everything exists within your mind. Now, how are our souls being trapped? The beings manipulating this realm of existence are distorting the collective consciousness's perception of reality and misleading humanity. Believe it or not, we have been misled. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what they are attempting to achieve. However, using a little bit of my logic, I believe that they're just going to use us to build up this whole system of trapping souls. It's all the soul trap. Everything is just trapping our souls. Okay? And because everyone essentially represents themselves as their physical body, they don't even know about the soul trap. Okay? Earth has been constructed to appear as a globe floating in space to hide the true cosmology of this plane. This heliocentric model confines our minds to the belief of a purely materialistic universe. And of course, this is openly taught to everyone to get people identifying themselves as the physical body. And I will get into this on the next slide about the heliocentric model. Our minds are being indoctrinated to differ us from having access to the metaphysical knowledge concerning alternate realities beyond our own. Our souls will remain here because the mind lacks the understanding and wisdom to project consciousness out of this physical world. People, if you do not believe in something, it will never happen. You have to have belief that everything around you is essentially here to trap you, and from there, you understand everything. You just have to look within yourself. So this is essentially the soul trap. It's the cycle of life and death. And this is how we're made to feel in this world. We just grow and die. But we don't understand that our soul goes into another body, And I can decode some philosophy on how this is all related in later videos if this is something in which you're interested in. I would love to do that. Now, the heliocentric model. This one might be very hard to understand if you genuinely believe that the world is a globe, it is a planet. Okay? Subconscious effects of the heliocentric model. A belief in a spinning ball in space conditions people's minds to be disconnected from the divine order of both themselves and the universe. There is an order of the universe, and if you align yourself with it, you will live in harmony with it. You will live in harmony with yourself and the universe. That is the best thing you can do in life, because this is essentially what we're here for. Believe it or not, we are here to understand the true essence of the cosmos, master it, and essentially outgrow our own minds, so then we can live in a realm suited to who we actually are. Not this physical world. That's why if you identify yourself as the physical body, you will come back here. The Big Bang globe model and extraterrestrial life push a narrative that makes it less likely for someone to believe in a divine creator, which ultimately removes purpose and spiritual significance within the cosmos. Think about it, okay? If we are just a spinning ball in space, how can you even grasp the concept that we have a creator? It doesn't make sense, okay? And this is the deception, and they've obviously reinforced this with the moon landing as well. You can't land on the moon, and if you're interested in that lecture, I can certainly make it for you guys. Now, of course, look at the different shades and tones of the planet. How can they change so drastically in short time periods? It doesn't make sense. Okay? Nasa in Hebrew means to deceive. They are deceiving the public. It's the deception of the heliocentric model. And if you believe this, you just believe that this whole reality is essentially here for consumption. And it's sad. It's truly sad. These images are nothing more than CGI, designed to deceive the masses and essentially reinforce a false narrative. Think about it. If we are a spinning ball in space, there could be an asteroid that could hit us. This is, of course, impossible. We have a firmament protecting us for a reason. The true cosmology of the Earth. In biblical cosmology, the firmament is a vast solid dome created by God on the second day, which divides the primal waters, upper and lower portions. And of course, this is both in the Quran as well, 65:12. Allah is he who created the seven heavens, and like them the earth. The seven heavens are the seven planetary energies that make up all things within the cosmos. Also, if you were interested in me making a video on that, I can certainly do that. And you see here these two images of the old cosmology of the Earth. They always showed this firmament. Always. The two polarities, male and female. Everything is polarities. If you have not watched my last lecture, I cannot recommend it enough. And of course, the sun and the moon, it's all depicted because we ourselves, look, we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. We are essentially an electromagnetic battery with our aura field going in and out like this universe. You see in the middle here they have this pyramid. It represents the center of the earth where there is the most energy. That is why all compasses point to the north the center of the universe. It has the most energy. And of course, the firmament is shown in Freemasonry, with of course the sun and the moon. This is filled with symbolism. If you do not understand the Freemasonic symbolism, I can definitely go through that. George Washington, of course, Freemason with the dome and the G, the god illumined above his head. And here, the Crown Court in the UK with the firmament. Of course, old ancient churches with this firmament. This knowledge is everywhere, yet as we don't perceive the world in which we do, we just ignore it. We don't see it. Of course, the Disney logo with the firmament and this pyramid, which essentially means an ascension of consciousness, an increase of consciousness up to the source. This is what the pyramids of Giza mean. It's on the $1 bill. I can also break that down if you're interested. Everything within this reality is formed from toroidal fields, both on the micro and the macro. And when I mean everything, I of course mean everything, but it's more obvious in the things created by this existence, such as apples, like fruits, vegetables, things along those lines, and of course us. This makes the heliocentric model to be unrealistic and of course indefinitely inaccurate, due to it not corresponding to the rest of the visible universe. It doesn't make sense. Okay? You need to understand the true cosmology of the Earth. Okay? And I can break this down in a separate video if you're interested. Now, everything within this system is for your body rather than your mind and soul. Think about this. A pub where you drink alcohol and you watch the football, some random entertainment on. Pubs serve alcohol, which originates from the term alcohol, meaning body-eating spirit. There is no coincidence why in religions you are told not to drink alcohol. It disrupts your internal state. And of course, spirit entities are within alcohol, which makes it no coincidence that certain types of alcohol are referred to as spirits. More specifically, gin. A jinn, Jinn, is a spirit on the astral plane. Sorry, an entity on the astral plane. Of course, alcohol weakens the frequency of our electromagnetic fields, which acts as a protective shield against negative energies and spiritual entities. Now, this is also a term called aura. If you have how do you even say it? A large aura, you essentially do not let negative energies influence your inner world, yourself, you know? So people often exhibit darker behaviors when they are intoxicated, as this entity they are consuming influences them to engage in harmful acts, such as violence and low-level sexual encounters. Why does violence occur? It's because our minds has been corrupted, okay? What does violence actually achieve? You're going against your soul's will to only love and protect others. You are hurting someone. You are hurting another being for essentially no reason. It's the worst thing you can do. And of course, low-level sexual encounters, it doesn't achieve anything. And you should only reproduce with someone who you are going to make a child with. That's the only time you should have it. Okay? Clubs, nightclubs, okay? They include not only consuming alcohol, but listening to low vibrational music and surrounding yourself by low vibrational people. The low vibrational music causes our vibration to stay low, especially if the music is promoting and gratifying low vibrational things such as money, power, lust, violence, drugs, guns, anything. Because this is what modern day music does. And it's sad that the majority of the population listen to this kind of music and it reflects who they are as a person. If you are constantly listening to this negative music, you will become a negative person. It's the law of cause and effect. You need to understand this. You also must understand that everything you see, hear, and think contributes towards your reality. If you're spending all your time in these places, you may have the gnosis, you may have the opinion that all people are like this. Okay? It's on a low vibration. You must understand that. Also, within these nightclubs, people usually attend with the primary goal of engaging in low-level sexual encounters, whilst both consuming alcohol and possibly drugs. It just doesn't make any sense to go to this place without that goal. Okay? It's honestly the worst kind of place you can be. Gambling. Gambling triggers vast amounts of dopamine in the brain. And of course, dopamine is the reward system within the brain, and as it is triggered in this instance, it would keep you playing for longer. Now, you need to understand that these casinos, and they operate to win profit. They're all rigged, okay? They're all essentially there to make you lose your money and keep playing and keep being in there. The use of bright colors, loud noises, and the competition between one another keeps you in a low state of consciousness, okay? Everything within this matrix is based upon competition. We are competing with each other every single day in the perception of the collective consciousness. Oh, I need to have more money. Oh, I need to have a bigger house. That's only your perception, and it's driven by this matrix, this whole system. Okay, the system relies on us being ignorant to the idea that we are all interconnected to one another. Instead, we are divided through gender, age, class, political views, area, interest, race. They do not want us realizing that we are a fractal of God's infinite stream of consciousness. They do not want us understanding that we are all essentially the same thing, we're all the same being, yet our own ignorance stops us from that, and our own understanding of reality stops us from understanding this primal fact. And this is why the agenda of these world governments is pushing out war. It's pushing out discrimination against others. I mean, think about the music industry, for example. It literally sexualizes women. For what reason? To make us more divided. Everything is for division. Okay. Now, what you must do to escape the matrix. Now, of course, this is mostly for the mind rather than financially. You must break the old habits. The old habits are essentially a reflection of your old inner state and, of course, vibration. Stop engaging in the news. It is there to create fear within your life. You are made to feel fearful when you watch the news. The news will not benefit you. It will only keep you more terrified for the future of life. You will live in hesitance to do something or anything. They just want you in fear. And of course, to keep you stuck in the lower three energy centers. They do not want you connecting with the true divine essence of yourself. Stop distracting yourself at every given moment. Look within yourself. Question yourself. You need to stop engaging in films, meaningless YouTube videos, video games, this low vibrational music, television, and of course, social media. You need to understand that if you are just distracting yourselves, you do not have time to connect with your inner self, essentially who you truly are. And this is the most important thing this life has to offer. You have to connect with yourself on a deeper level. Eat a clean diet and resist the urge to consume ultra-processed foods containing harmful chemicals that your body cannot digest. I truly believe that we should only be consuming foods which were created on the first days of creation. Okay? For example, fruit, it digests in your body in just 30 minutes. And during that time, your 70% of the energy your body uses goes to this digestive system. And if we are consuming these heavy foods, these, of course, ultra-processed foods, your body will just only be digesting them, okay? And of course, it will get stuck in your gut and your colon, and it will not benefit you, of course. As humans, we attach to things. In this instance, we attach to our old vibrational state. And this is exactly what is keeping you in your old habits and thoughts on a day-to-day basis. Most people see each day as just a day, not insignificant. You know, people live for the summer, people live for the winter. We are constantly living in the anticipation of something, when rather true power lies in living in this present moment. Everything that you do now will contribute towards the future. You must understand this. I really recommend a dopamine detox. Now, what is this? Well, a dopamine detox is essentially stopping all of your bad habits. And these are the things which are keeping you distracted. However, you must question within yourself new habits to create. And these are some examples. Exercise. If you do not exercise, you should begin. You must harmonize the four bodies of consciousness. Of course, your emotions, you must not react to things externally. Your body, you must exercise. You must, be healthy within your body. And of course, your mind, you must have a clear mind. You must have clear thoughts. So, exercise releases natural dopamine within the brain, as we should only activate our brain's reward system when we have earned it. So, when we are doing all of these things, like watching television, all the lights and the colors and the noise, it's all triggering dopamine within your brain, making you think that you are achieving something. And altogether, it's making you engage with it for far longer. You are too entertained, you are too distracted. Meditation. You must clear your mind. Meditation is very difficult to begin with because, of course, your mind is wandering into all of these different thoughts. However, with consistency and practice comes disciplining the mind. Remember, the mind is the fabric of reality. You must discipline your mind. Goal setting, as it gives you clarity and set an intention. Now, I recommend, writing in a journal for this. Your whole day everything in your day that you wish to achieve, write it down, and then come back to it at night and write possibly what you didn't achieve, what you wished to achieve. And over time, this will create you to live a more meaningful life without the distractions, of course. And journaling, as I mentioned here, it allows you to communicate with yourself not only at later times and rereading it, but in the moment. You will question yourself when you journal. Journaling is very powerful and very meaningful, of course. Reprogramming the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is 90% of your mind, and we are only aware of 10% of our mind, and that is essentially the present moment. So you are running off the programs of the subconscious mind. This is a powerful quote. Whatever we implant on our subconscious mind and nourish it with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality. This is most necessarily done with positive affirmations. You must listen or repeat to yourself positive affirmations as much as you can, more specifically on a full moon. If you're interested on a video for a full moon, please drop it in the comments. I will be happy to help. More importantly, an hour before you go to sleep, as you wake up, as your brain is producing theta waves, meaning your subconscious mind is wide open for reprogramming, essentially. Now, this is why, you need to get an app. You need to just say them. You need to have them around your space, just affirmations to remind yourself to keep saying them. It will feel very unnatural at first, of course. just some personal advice here. Now, do not let the external world influence or disrupt your inner world, your internal state. The external world is dead. Matter has no life. We give everything life through our minds. And if we are not creating consciously because our minds are scattered with thoughts from the external world, your life will be, of course, meaningless. You need to live in the perspective of your inner world. Okay. You must control your mind and not let your mind control you. I cannot emphasize how important this is. Because most of us let our minds control us. As I said before, our thoughts are demanding attention, and if we give our minds the attention of thought, we are just acting upon every thought. Do you understand?